much for coming. I'm sorry we don't have a translator. So students, I'm going to trust you to help, okay? So if there's any questions or anything, please make sure you write everything down on your little packet. Ms. Baker and Ms. Boltwood will go ahead and do the presentation for you this morning. They are your college and career counselors. I'm Ms. Lucas, I'm the director, so I'm here as needed. If you have any questions and they can't be found, then ask me and hopefully I can answer the questions. You do have a folder, and in your folder there's going to be a handout that has all of the slides on it. You can keep notes on your slides, and then if you have any questions at the end, we will address questions at the end. So if you need us to pause or whatever, just raise your hand and they'll pause and we'll go from there. Generally, we wait until the end for questions just because oftentimes your questions are answered as we go through the packet, okay? So students, you guys also write questions down if you have them, okay? What else was I going to tell you? Oh, yes. Before you leave today, if you would check out with me right here in my office so I can just double check PowerSchool, make sure we have the correct emails, phone numbers, the correct emergency contacts. We do go, you guys put in your own information, but sometimes things get wonky. So I just want to double check and make sure we have the correct contact information for you so that we can make sure that that you get all the information that we send out. Cool? All right, well, I will hand you over to Ms. Baker and Ms. Boltwood. You all have a fantastic session, and I'll be across the hall.
Yeah, thanks you guys so much for coming in. The other thing I wanted to say that Ms. Lucas was saying, because, we have some Spanish speakers in here as well, and I know our English translators maybe won't be able to pack it all in, but we also are recording this, and we're going to be sending the movie to you guys so you can rewatch it. We're just uploading a little video on YouTube right now so that you guys have that information later. So if you're like, this part we were talking about, I got a little bit of it, but can you clarify? And obviously you can contact us at any time. So Ms. Boltwood, do you have anything you'd like before we start?
No, I think you guys covered everything.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the lights so that we can see the screen a little bit better. It's kind of hard to see right now. What's that? Oh no, we're just using space. Okay, so what is dual credit enrollment anyway? Any answer to that, Ms. Boltwood?
Yeah, let's skip from here. Dual credit is a way to get college credit while you're still in high school. To make sure that you get your core classes taken care of and out of the way while you're doing the same thing in high school, because generally they overlap, right? You're taking math here, math there, Cnm in this case. So that's what that is. It's also, the statistics up here show that all students actually, 29% of them, have higher retention rates and go to college when they first go to, when you go to college in high school, you have a greater likelihood of finishing college with a good degree. This is all students, 32% lower income and higher income. So across the board, it is helpful. Oh, other computer. Okay. Too much technology.
Oh wait, keep it right here for just a little
Okay.
bit. Okay, so that's just the only thing that's different with the Spanish. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
So why go to college or career school? Well, think you can get a good job now? Yes, maybe you can, but a college degree or career school credentials will make your chances even better. Check out the average earnings in 2020 for people 25 years of age or older with different level of educations below. So less than a high school diploma, the average earning was 40. It's kind of hard to see here, but we'll also email this with the recording that we have.
It's on yours.
High school and graduate makes about 51.
Sorry,
And as you progressively go up to different types of bachelor's credentials, there's even some certificates that you can get that would pay really good. Welding, for one, is one that Cnm offers where you can make, what is it, like 60 to 70? Ms. Lucas, what is it when a welder finishes their associates? What's a good starting
Oh, a welder?
Yeah.
Oh,
Your
okay.
daughter
So
does it.
my daughter. So Echo is my daughter, and she's 25 years old, and she went to UNM, and she got a bachelor's degree in theater. And she was a production agent and all this stuff for the theater company here in Roswell, here in Albuquerque. Then the pandemic happened, and there was no more theater, right? And so they lived with me for a while. She drove Lyft, delivered pizza, right? Whatever she could do, because her degree was, she couldn't use it. And so she moved, her and her husband moved to San Diego, and she found a program, a welding program, that she is almost finished with. It's like a 8 to 12 week program, depending, and which would be similar to like what Cnm has for their welding program. And she's going to start out making more than I do. Like she's going to start out making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. So there's definitely a place for things like that, especially now with our urban city. You know, cities are growing. They're having to figure out new things to for people to live sustainably. Right? We're starting to look at those kinds of things. So anything like that, any kind of those kinds of trades also are going to be way up there. But what we want is for you all to be we want you to be the owner of the business, right? We don't want you just to be the person that's doing the job. We want you to be the owner of the business. So instead of just not getting a degree, doing this would be better, because at least then, like through the Cnm programs, they kind of teach you how to also run a business. Does that make sense? Echo knows how to run a business because she got a bachelor's degree and she did nonprofit work and all that kind of stuff. So does that make sense? So she took her education and all of that, and she's coupling it now with her welding, and so she'll be able to make more money than her mom does after 25 years of teaching. So anyways, that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Your certificates and everything are phenomenal. However, having that degree just increases your chance, right, of making a little bit more money. Does that make sense? I know, and it's not always about money, but we all have bills, right? And I like to travel, so. Did that help at all, Ms. Baker?
Yes, it
Okay.
did. Thank you so much. So the next thing that we're going to go is, what is dual enrollment anyway? What is dual enrollment anyway? And dual enrollment is interesting because it's a program that they have throughout the country. Dual enrollment is pretty much every state has it, right, Miss Boltwood?
Yes, it's a national thing. The money comes from the U.S. Department of Education, and when you're through with dual credit, when you graduate high school, then you'll fill out what's called the FAFSA, and that's how you continue to get the dual credit money. So it all comes from the same place. You just, instead of just coming through the school, it will go through your university.
Exactly. And so this is completely free. It's through the school. You won't have any fees or anything that's associated with it. Your child will not pay anything to go to college. Not at all. However, it can affect their financial aid, which is why we ask you to bring in parents. Why we wanted to have this event is because we want all the parents to understand just how serious it is. Because if students fail a class or they withdraw from a class, then they could potentially affect their financial aid. And what that means is if a student, say for instance, fails 2 classes, right, Ms. Boltwood, or they fail the first class and then they decide to take a second, what ends up happening in that situation is they go to college and they talk to the financial aid department, and the financial aid department says that they can't give out their financial aid until they complete 1 semester successfully to prove that they can get qualified for that. So that's why it's really important that we don't have anything below a C on these college classes at all. And your student going in and dropping the class without letting us know should never happen either. We cannot log into your student's account, which you're going to log in, which is why we have computers here for you all, so that your student can log into their Cnm account, access their Cnm email, and hopefully we can register as long as all of the holds are off everybody's account. And if there are holds, no big deal, we'll work on getting them off so that we can enroll into the class sometime this week. So that being said, that gives you an idea of what dual credit is and how it's going to earn college credit for one course. Even with welding associates, even with an English bachelor's degree, all of them require two main components, and those two components are a college level English or a college level math. So all of our students, the first two classes they take are either English or math. So that's kind of how that works. You can go back real quick, maybe just for a second.
Yeah.
Just so you can
And it is in English and Spanish on the sheets too. So
And we're recording it currently, and the recording will go out to everybody in an email, like I said, so that everybody can kind of look at it, so they don't miss any of the details. If you've got questions.
okay, so you've all seen this. This is the schools.
The RI data we're used to seeing. Go ahead, go for it.
This, we always say we want some kids up here at college and career readiness. I believe all of you are, which is good, so we don't need to spend much time on this slide. It's important to read. College level reading is it's difficult. The English classes, a lot of them have a lot of reading. The math classes have some reading, but most of it's workbook online if you take an online course. But yeah, so I don't think we need to spend much time on that.
Timeline. Beautiful. So this is what the timeline looks like. Timeline and early release, right? Is that the best way?
Yes.
Early release is an incentive we have here. It's not this traditional thing that just happens all the time and you get out after first period your senior year. We do have some students, which is why freshman year going into 10th grade is such a big deal, because students who are able to pass the college level test in 10th grade really have a possibility of finishing an associate's. We do have a broad range of students here with all sorts of different levels in terms of where they're at academically. We serve all of them. All of them are required to take one college level course. That being said, we do have some students, two specifically, Cosimo and Angelo, who are finishing their associate's degree before they graduate. They're going to come in and talk to some of the kids at the beginning of the year so that we can get an idea as to how that happened. This timeline shows you how that happened. Our students who usually get associate's degrees tend to always get A's and B's in their classes. If A's and B's are not being accomplished, sometimes we'll be like, okay, you got a C, no big deal. We'll overlook that. But if we see your D or an F, that's a huge indication that we're concerned. We don't want you to have an effect on your financial aid. And it also gives us this time to have a discussion as to, you're also getting a high school diploma on top of it. You might be earning an associate's, but you're still getting a high school diploma. So this kind of breaks it down a little bit more. It's going to make a little bit more sense as I get through it. So starting with their freshman year, raise your hand if you're a freshman going into 10. Okay, so you're going to take and pass the Accuplacer for math or English, which you both did. Yay! And then you're going to complete the Accuplacer study guides, remedial classes. So that's been completed. A lot of students who are in this category taking CN classes for the first time, or if you're in 10th grade and you've passed the Accuplacer and you're on your way to 11th grade taking your class for the first time, this is kind of where you're at. So by the sophomore, the goal is that pass and enroll in English and math. So fall semester, you're just going to pass your first college level class, whether you test it into math or whether you test it into English. You're going to take your first college level class. And then this fall, when you pass and you get those beautiful A's, you could say, I'm ready to take a second class. Okay, so we'll let you take 2 classes next semester. Or if you're like, this is too much, it's your experience, put the brakes on it. If you're like, 1 was enough. Going to high school, getting my diploma, taking 1 was enough. I'm a little nervous, Ms. Baker, Ms. Woodwood. I don't know if I want to take 2 my spring semester. I just want to take 1. That's totally fine too. don't feel pushed. This is everybody. Our big goal is that all of you have a positive college experience where you get a C and higher. That's what we want. Our goal isn't to make you take as many classes as possible. If you're getting A's and B's on your classes, no problem. We'll support you the whole way through to get associate's degree, similar as Cosmo and Angelo have already completed in their senior year. We're going to come and talk with some of the students. So, just something to think about. Go your own pace. If you're getting A's in all your classes and you're on track to go for an associate's, keep going. We're behind you 100%. But if you're getting a D in a class, well, we need to slow back here. If you get a D in this next semester, maybe you should take a little bit of a break, because these classes that you take, not only is it an actual college class, but this goes into their high school diploma GPA, which determines scholarships in the future. This is really on their academic record 100%, which is another reason. You don't want to throw your student into a bunch of college level courses and they get all C's when they were an A student in high school, because then all of those grades get meshed together when they go to college. So, like I said, very serious. We want to make sure they get A's and B's so it looks great when they go to college and they apply to college. They got an A or a B on their college level class. So so we're going more. We're more successful. We've taken 2 classes our sophomore year in the spring, and we got A's and B's. Yes. So here's what happens once we get to our junior year. Now, maybe over the summer, they say they want to take 3 classes, which would be approved if you got an A or a B in your second in this part. And then, so over the summer, you can take 3, you can take 2, you can take none. But by the time you're in your junior year, if you've been able to, sophomore year, A, fall, spring, 2 A's, or maybe 1 A, and then junior year, you could take 3 college level courses if you've taken 2 before. And you'll also be let out a little early. This isn't the case for all of our students. Not 100% of the students get let out early. So, if they take 4 college level classes their senior year, they can get out after first period. But if they're taking no college level classes, they stay for a full day. You might also get some sort of notification that your student has been dropped from class, or they withdrew or something like that. And if they withdrew from a class, in the middle of the semester, you'll be notified that your student no longer gets out at 1:30, they get out at 2:40. Or if they drop from their class and they have no Cnm classes, you might be notified in the middle of the semester that now your student gets out at 4. Them getting early release depends on their enrollment in Cnm. So that's just something to think about. But by the senior year, complete core and associate's degree requirements. They just kind of work through these specifics. So go ahead and write your questions down for that, because it's confusing. This is my 4th year doing this. It semi-makes sense when I talk, but that's pretty much the rundown of what it is. And like I said, we'll be sending this PDF along with the recording of this event so that you can look through it and maybe see the translation a little bit better.
Oh, and also, so all of you passed your active placer in here.
Some may have not.
I did want to add about the grade points. When you take a class at Cnm, an A is worth 4 points here, but it's worth 4 1/4 at Cnm on your high school transcript. So you get an extra quarter point. So it's a really good way to boost your grade point average. 3.2, 3.5 is a really good scholarship range as far as grade point average. Hello. So, let's see. Have you passed your academic? Did you? You took your academic in high school? No? Okay, so we'll back up. So if you still need to take the AccuPlacer, you can make appointments with Ms. Lucas this summer. You don't have to pass both at once, but eventually you'll have to pass both. So if there's one that you haven't passed, you can go ahead and study for it this summer and look at that. College Board has partnered with Khan Academy, which I'm sure all the students are familiar with. They have great study materials. I would study the SAT stuff because juniors, you're going to take the SAT this year. sophomores are going to take the PSAT likely. So it's good to go ahead and start studying that. And the AccuPlacer it's a test that was developed for students who haven't had the opportunity to take the SAT. So it's a small version of the SAT. So that's a good place to study. To get your CNM ID, we have to have your ID number. You don't have to physically have your ID, but I would recommend this summer that you guys go and pick up that ID. It's real quick. You just go. There's a map in your student accounts, which we'll show you that. But it's the main building, and it takes about 10 minutes. So study. We'll talk about that. You can also find test materials at accuplacer.org, but I think Khan Academy has the best study things. Oh, you're good at this one, so you can take this one. Okay.
So there's there's two different degrees that are associated. You got the bachelor's degree and you have an associate's degree. An associate's degree is a 2-year program. A bachelor's degree is a 4-year program. So, for instance, a lot like welding is a 2-year program. Culinary arts is a 2-year program. And both of those are at CNM. UNM doesn't offer any 2-year degrees. They only offer 4-year degrees. But they have 4-year degrees in things like, what's something you have to have a 4-year degree?
Business. We don't have that.
Well, they have business, English, engineering,
nursing.
Nursing, and you can also get an associate's in nursing as well. So there's all sorts of different ones, but the point is just kind of giving you an idea. An associate's degree is 20 courses, which between their sophomore year and the end of their senior year, they could potentially finish these 20 courses to complete an associate's degree. That is possible, as you can see from 3 classes here when we were looking at the timeline. For the bachelor's degree, it takes 4 years, and it's about 40 classes. And the biggest difference is, a bachelor's degree tends to be more focused on academics, art, statistics, psychology, things like this. And then an associate's degree, majority of the time, is just like you can get a career right off the bat with a lot of them. Culinary arts, you get your 2-year degree. You can be on your way to starting your own culinary business or working at a restaurant. Same thing with an associate's in stenography. Ultrasound technicians, that has a pretty big program here at CNM, and that's only an associate's degree. And so I know people, because I used to work over at CNM, people moved here to actually go to the 2-year program here as an ultrasound technician, because it's one of the best ones in a couple of different states that we have. So that's also a 2-year degree that pays very well after they get out. And sometimes they can get, all these other things. But yes.
So UNM core requirements. So what we do is when your student signs up for their to get their CNM ID, they choose a degree path. Now that can change, and it doesn't have to stay. Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So you can change that degree path, but it will give you the core for your 2-year degree, but we also make sure it's going to plug into a 4-year school, so you're not losing any credits. So you'll have, basically, if you're going to go to a 4-year school, you will do your core at CNM, which means like history, 2 sciences, science with a lab, 2 histories, of course your Englishes and your math. So we'll make sure that that's done. That's always really important. When I graduated, I think I had 52 elective credits. It didn't count for anything. We don't want that happening. Math and English are always core in every degree. Even welding, I believe you have to take, did you mistake with math and English for welding?
Yes, all associates require college level math or college level English.
Yes. So you don't have to get a degree. Ms. Baker was talking about certificates. There are certificate programs within the degree path, so you can get a certificate while you're working on the associate's degree. I had a student one year that got, there's a child care certificate. So you learn CPR, you learn about child care, and then she got to work in a daycare facility that got paid a lot more because she had those skills. So that's another thing that we like to look at.
Oh, and for those of you just joining us, no worries. We're recording the presentation right now. We'll have a link to it soon. So we're really excited to give you guys that. So don't worry if you're a little bit late. We record it all.
There are a wide range of associate's degrees at CNM. Hundreds, literally. When you go to the home page, it's right there. It says programs A to Z. You can go through and click and see what each career path requires, what classes you have to take, how many classes, things like that. These are good 2-year degrees. They will plug in, like criminal justice will plug into criminology at UNM. Things like culinary arts doesn't have a 4-year degree, it's just a 2-year degree. Computer science is very compatible with UNM's program. And then you have things like plumbing, cosmetology, things like that, where you can just get either a certificate or a 2-year degree and go right to work. And like I said earlier, you get an extra quarter point for your Cnm grades, which, like I said, can really help raise that grade point average. You guys are all in a good spot. If you don't know what your grade point average is, just let me know and we can find that out for you. It should be on your last report card.
And if you're going into your junior year, now's the really big time to tighten up, because your junior year is when your grades are pretty much final. By the time your junior year is over, you're going into your senior year. We already have our senior checklist that we handed to all the seniors, which is get your transcripts, send them out. So if you're going to do your junior year, just remember that's a really important year to see what your grades look like, especially in terms of scholarships at all of the colleges you're going to be applying.
Absolutely. Okay, so we will set up appointments for weekly academic advising for each student. If you miss 3 sessions, then you feel like you're not getting the support that you need, and you're likely going to be dropped, but you guys don't miss. Let's see. We do ask to see the kids' grades every week, not only just to make sure they're being successful, but also it's kind of weird. It's not just 90% isn't an A. It goes on by a point system. So you might have a class that's worth 742 points, and your student has made 300 points. What does that mean? So we help them interpret it. We help them look at their assignments and kind of help manage their time, because that's a big one. None of the work's really all that hard, but when you have so much going on, it can be really difficult. And then,
so just to clarify, we do have advising meetings, and the way that the advisement meetings work with students is they are given a specific time throughout the day, like say 2 p.m. On Wednesdays, you're going to see Ms. Baker. And what happens then is, we'll come get them at 2 p.m. They come back to our office, and for about 15 or 20 minutes weekly, we check, see, that everything's going okay, see how they're doing. And then on every Friday, the students are required, this is really important for a lot of different reasons, because we want to make sure we save your financial aid. And we have the email and everything, all this information that would be very aware. But there's a really easy Gmail account that we make to check student grades weekly. And the only reason we do this is because 9th graders, 10th graders, they're still young. College is very scary. There's a lot of stepping into adulthood and independence and things that have to be done when you go to college. And so, we want to keep, it's not that we don't think they can do it, we know they can do it, but we want to protect their financial aid. So there's this grace period within the first 2 weeks of them taking a college level course where they can actually drop the class without any worry. They can drop it completely within the first 2 weeks, and it won't go on their transcript. They won't get one of these W's. They won't get an F. It'll look fine. It'll look like they never took the class. But after 2 weeks, if they drop it, they get a W, and that does affect their financial aid. So that being said, we like to check students' grades weekly. And what they do is they just send a screenshot of their grades or their paper or whatever, and then they email it to cnmgrades@gmail.com, where we check to see that you have this, or maybe if there were no grades reported, we ask that they email no grades reported, just to CNM grades. We say thank you so much, we got it. But if we don't get those 2 emails in the first 2 weeks, there's a lot of worries. First, and we're going to go over it today, try to get into your Cnm accounts, which is why we have your computers here, so your parents can see how you get into your Cnm accounts. And if you can't get into it, no big deal. But that could be one issue that's going on, is they're having trouble getting into their Cnm accounts, or they can't get their grades, or our worst fear of all is that, they're not even going to class. So if we don't get those 2 emails of their first 2 grades, or if their professor gave no grades reported first week, no grades reported second week, we know, that where they're at, but we will drop them before the 2-week mark, because if we don't see any work done, we're concerned. And this is about making it positive. And it's still positive if we drop you from the first 2 weeks. So no hard feelings. If we drop you guys, it's not us trying to hurt you. It's just that we're like, maybe this isn't the time. Maybe when you can send those 2 emails in the first 2 weeks, maybe that'll be when you're ready that semester.
And then lastly, on this slide, the CNM schedule is not the same as ours. Like, they do not have a spring break. So when we're not in session, you still have to make sure that you're attending your CNM courses. Do we do these?
We can just go over the packet,
Okay,
the
let's do
CNM
that.
packet, and then we'll go into the orientation.
Sounds good.
And
Cool.
so we have these awesome packets, and I know this is yours, so I'm just going to borrow real quick, okay? So you guys have these packets, which are really great. And what we have is, obviously, we have the presentation that we have here. And next what we have is this checklist to make sure that you're ready to apply, which is why we're so glad parents come in. This is so super official. Your parents do need to be here to know what's going on. And it's first you apply to CNM. All of you have done that already. We know you have applied. So, and then you're going to get your acceptance letter, mostly because that has your student ID number on it. But what we're trying to do is just make it a little bit easier. And one of these things is they said that you want to complete your CNM dual credit orientation. So we're going to try to do that as a group. We'll show you how to get there on the computers. And if you have your CNM ID, okay, type in your ID and we'll go through the orientation. If you don't worry, just follow along. We're recording this. It's just one of those things that has to be complete. They'll put a hold on your account if you don't complete student orientation online that we're going to go over. And a couple different other holds, but don't worry, we're going to get through that. But we have this nice little packet for you that I encourage you to look at that comes direct from CNM, and it gives you information about the library, about research materials, the tutoring center, which is also pretty huge. And a lot of people don't know this, but as CNM students, students are able to access the food pantry at the Student Resource Center. So every Wednesday from 3 to 6, there's a huge food pantry for those hungry college students, so they can go get ramen or whatever. But your students are also students, so they're more than welcome to use that. And so, like I said, we've got a lot of different information about CNM here to make it understand. And I like it when they brag about CNM a little bit too, because a lot of people might not know that, but CNM is one of the top 10 community colleges in the country, just because of the amount of resources that they do have. And it gives you an idea of financial aid. Just look over that when you get a chance. And if you're having difficulty figuring out what you guys want to do, which I don't blame you, you guys are young, but it's good. Just get an early start. Obviously there are tons and tons of career and degrees and associates that you can look through here, just to kind of see, like, what is it that I want to do? Okay, good, so I got that. And then we'll just go through the new student orientation. Like I said, if you have a CNM ID, sounds good. If not, no big deal. We're just going to go through the CNM orientation together. And so go ahead and log on to your computer. And then what's the password and the username to get onto these computers, Ms. Boltwood?
If it says breakfast egg, it's Cnm-Mas charter. If it says student, then it is student online.
And then just go ahead to cnm.edu. I could tell you guys where to go from there. I'm still trying to pull it up. They don't really make too easy of a website for this, so I'll come around and make sure that you all can get there. So go ahead and search dual credit orientation up at the top of cnm.edu. Oh, good. But just go ahead and do the search and search dual credit orientation. Even if you went through it, just good for us all to go over. Who's that? Oh, it's Louise.
And then like just like a recording and all, so yeah, and that's why we're pausing the slides, so we can record it and just pause the slides. You know, so we're exactly to understand.
Yes. Okay. Okay, great. So now you guys see where you go to do the dual credit orientation, and we're going to do it together. It only takes 15 minutes, but I really love it when parents are here so that you can see the rules with like CNM. And also I think this orientation does a good job separating the fact that we're different from CNM. So, because this is the CNM orientation, and these are all the things that the students want to know. So I'm just going to kind of if they let me do that. We'll see. See if they let me do that. They might not. All right. Let's see. Does somebody have their ID number ready that we could do the orientation for you right now? Look at me, look, you guys know. So, Fernando has braces? Yeah, I didn't answer. Olivia's, right? Olivia's. Oh, okay. Does Fernando have the braces? So it's Fernando. Okay. I'll believe you. I'll believe you. What? And then, So, is it VIAS or AS? Cool, thank you. And then go ahead and tell me your ID number. Perfect. And, 759. Okay. And when's your birthday? Perfect. And so you have to get all of this information correct, or it'll tell you that what it did to me, which is you cannot do this. We cannot find your information, but I'm sure it'll find his information, and then we got in. So go ahead and follow along, and if not, we'll get all the answers, so you know all the answers. I'm going to make it quick going over it. And like I said, we'll have the recording so you can review it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to, it has a whole breakdown of all the information that you guys need in order for it to, for you to pass the orientation. But what I like to do, especially since this is our own little orientation, and we've talked about it a lot of the stuff that they discuss in this is, oh my gosh, a lot of the stuff that they discuss is in, let me go to the next one, is things that we've been talking about, so, okay. Interesting. So here, trying to see. Oh, there it is. I thought that was kind of hidden. So I'm just going to get it straight to our orientation quiz that we're going to go over. But they have Wi-Fi at CNM. They have multiple different locations. They've got 5 different campuses. So if your student wants to take a class on a campus that maybe is closer to your house, that's also something that's possible. Because I know some people are on the west side and there's a west side campus, and maybe you're just down the street from it and you want your student to take a class there. That's also something that's possible. They've got different academic schools. Like we said, over 100 associate's degrees. We have that in the packet as well, all the different paths of study that they have. So, and this one's a good one as well, which is your responsibilities as a college student. Well, register for your own classes, which we help with. We want to be here when you register for the classes all the time, like all the things that we discuss. It's not that we don't trust you, you're just young. We want you to be doing what you need to be doing so you're okay. Manage your time. This might sound a little crazy, but it's actually a lot harder than it thinks. And when you're young, you're still kind of getting used to it a little bit. So make sure that you manage your time properly so that you can finish all your homework and everything like that. You also need to check your Cnm email daily. That's what they say right here. You want to make sure that you're up to date with your instructor, that maybe your instructor, your professor's not emailing you, telling you that, we might want to drop your class or anything like that. So you need to make sure that you stay on top of your emails at CNM. FERPA, that's about us not being able to share information. So like I said, they can't tell us your information. We can't enroll you into a class without you there, 100%. Like, we want you guys there so that you know that you've been enrolled in the class. So that's kind of what FERPA is about. Oh, see, this is a good one for people to look at too. Let's go back, if it'll let me. So, impact of dual credit on your college career. Every college you register for dual credit will impact your college transcript, GPA, future financial aid eligibility, and your lottery scholarship eligibility. Employers may request your transcript. So if you got an F on this course, students, and you go get a job and your job wants your college transcripts, that F will appear, right? So that's why your first job you're applying to, if that's the only CNM class or any college class you've taken, and you have to give your transcripts to your job, that's going to show up. That's kind of like an interesting thing about it is you're taking this class when you're 14, 15, and given they give you those, they like look at it and they're like, wow, that's impressive. But what's interesting that you might not even be thinking right now at this age is the grade that you get on this college course when you go and you apply for maybe law school or med school. This course is going to be on your application. So it doesn't go away. These grades that you get, they will stick with you forever. Even when you apply to med school, it doesn't go away, right, Miss Boltwood?
Always there.
Yes, it's always there. You want to make sure that you get a C or higher. C's or higher. And that's the thing. That's why we're here. Make it positive. Make it so they don't have a C. That's why we like to have these meetings with you guys, get to know you a little bit better, so that when we say, hey, maybe we should just kind of like drop you in the first 2 weeks, we're not being mean. We care about you guys. We want it to be positive, and we don't want you to have to send that D to the law school you apply to in 7 years, right? That's kind of the goal. Okay, I'm just getting through it, and then we're going to get to and something that people might not know is they actually have tutoring at CNM too. They have tutoring for English college level class. They've got tutoring for all the math classes. And it's right in the library. I actually used to be a tutor at CNM, and the setup's just so amazing. Like, you just walk in, you type in your ID number, and then you're taken somewhere, and they sit down with you, and somebody will look over your paper or your homework as long as you want. So sometimes we get like, hey, you know, I'm having trouble. Well, we want you to go to the tutoring. We're trying to, you know, teach you guys how to use the college, so that when you're at the college and Miss Baker, Miss Bolwood are gone, we still get phone calls and we still help our seniors and everything. Like, we don't want them to feel like they can't do things without us, because we want you guys to successfully continue into college. So that's the thing. Just make sure we want to get you guys into tutoring as soon as possible. And it's just an amazing program, and it's completely free. That's the other amazing thing. I think it's, obviously we have security. They have security over at CNM. The dean. Your My CNM account. That's where you register for courses, print your course schedule, check grades, check your CNM email, register your vehicle, review news, access important info. So we're going to get into your CNM account, My Account CNM today. That was what we're really excited about, getting you guys registered, especially for mom and dad to be able to see, how do I register and look into the CNM portal where my child's taking a college level class. So really good for you guys to be able to see this and to see all the different things that is in there, so you can review it. And parents, we recommend it. If you're like, what's going on with your college class? Feel free to ask them. So we're going to figure out how to log into their accounts. And that's what we're most excited about, for us to be able to share this with you guys, so that you can feel like you can help your student 100% too, you know, because it's difficult. It's difficult. We want to get them right on the right track and have a happy, awesome, positive experience. So this is how we're going to register for classes, but we're already going to be doing this together today, depending on how ready your account is and if there's any holds on them. And if there is a hold, it's not a big deal. We'll just give you the information about how to remove the hold, and you can call Miss Lucas back, and I have it on that paper that we handed out. Or you can come in and physically register. Like I said, we can't enroll you in a class unless you're like on the phone with us and you got into your account, or we're in your account, or whatever, or if you come in physically. So we can do that, and that gives information about dropping classes, CNM Brightspace. Textbooks, we actually cover the cost of textbooks. So if your student has a class that they need to take, we cover textbooks, which is a huge amount of money sometimes. Some of these classes, it's a $500 textbook, but we'll cover that cost. So that adds to the value of, you know, doing the classes here and trying to keep those A's and B's up. Because if you keep those A's and B's up, you can get that associate's degree if you're going into your 10th grade year. Okay. CNM ID. Hey, this is the coolest part. They can get a CNM ID, which shows they're a student, We all know everywhere we go and you're a student, they give a lot of discounts. So now we all have a little student ID that, your student can use for a discount. Just something to think about. They can go get it. It's a free ID the first time they go get it. And they should do that for sure to get all the benefits of being a college student, which you get when you're at CNM as well. And there are a ton of benefits. For some reason, it just won't let me go to the next one when I do it that way.
And there is a campus map.
Thank you.
That says Student Services Center, SSC, where you do your ID. It's their main building. There's dual credit department there as well. So if you guys are on campus and you need something, they're happy to help you. Just go in, the information desk, tell them where you need to go, and we can send it to them.
I need your help to get 100%.
Okay, so the grade you can earn in dual credit, the grade you earn in dual credit will permanently impact which of the following: your college transcript, your GPA, your financial aid eligibility, your high school GPA. Are all
Well, we're just here to, we're here to just kind of talk about it, and we just wanted to use it as some talking points.
Okay.
Because I didn't effectively go through the whole orientation, I just kind of showed you guys because I wanted to use this as a talking point. All of the above, we talked about that, how that can impact all of it. Your financial aid eligibility, which is what I'm most concerned about, which is why when I say maybe we should drop this class in the first 2 weeks, it's not being me being mean, it's because I care about you and I want you to be able to get on track to have a positive college experience all the time. And it affects your high school GPA, so it affects your GPA here as well as your GPA on your college transcript, so just something to think about.
So, which of the following is not one of the 10 habits of successful students? Anyone hit yes there? Can you read it? Which
Yes.
one?
Asking questions is good, right?
Ask questions, be curious, arriving late to class, utilize CNM resources, or treat all communications professionally. So which one is not a good habit? C, yes. Perfect. Do not be late. Now, I do like to tell students to communicate with their professors, of course. Let them know that you're a dual credit student. Some students have a class that might start at 1:30, but you won't get out till 1:35 here. Some professors are okay with that, so make sure you keep that communication clear. Can CNM share your grades, class schedule, or other information with your parents? Parents? No, it is your student's account. So they can give you permission, but I can't log in without them. You can't log in, but I bet they give you permission. How do you add or drop classes to your course schedule? Ask your friend, through your My CNM account. Counselor does it for me. It just happens automatically. Well, we know it's through our CNM account, our My CNM account. And we'll look at that in a minute. How often should you check your email? Never. Weekly, daily, twice a day, once a month. Yes, daily. I need a CNM parking permit to park on campus. Yes, you do. As a CNM student, you are required to read the student code of conduct. Absolutely. What can happen if you do poorly in your dual credit courses? I can receive a poor grade on my transcript. I can hinder my ability to graduate. I can lose eligibility for future financial aid or all of the above. Yes, sir. All of the oops. Sorry. That's not the right answer. Which of the following resources are available to you as a dual credit student free of charge? Connect Services, tutoring. Connect Services, what is that?
So Connect Services is an interesting thing that they have there where, it's like I was saying, it's one of the top 10 community colleges. So they have this amazing center called the Connect Center where I guess the best way you can describe it is some people have been living in their car and they're, homeless, which happens, unfortunately, happens a lot. and they go to CNM Connect and they meet an advisor, and the advisor can help them in all sorts of ways. And it's, and it's just basically, or maybe they have a disability that makes it really hard to go to school, or they have a desire to go to school, but there's these obstacles kind of like outside of what's traditionally part of college. So one example of what Connect does is when I was working there, one of my student workers, her car broke down. And they actually had a scholarship for students who were having trouble with transportation in case their car broke down. So they gave her a $500 scholarship so she could fix her car and continue to go to school. So they have all sorts of things that they're trying. So that's what Connect does, and it's an amazing service.
That's amazing.
It is.
So you have Connect, you have the library services, you have tutoring services, computer lab access. So yes, you have all of those accessible for free. And which of the following? Oh, sorry. Always speak to a blank before dropping a course. To me or Ms. Baker, to the academic coach, if that's someone that would be through the dual credit department at your school, your instructor, or all of the above. Tell us all. And you did this one, right? Okay. So you had to complete this in order to register. Ms. Baker has a nice sheet of when we go to register. Yay, we got ahead. When we go to register, sometimes there are holds on your account. One of the big ones is this orientation, so it's good. Sometimes they want proof of your social security number or proof of address, things like that. You guys still have your holds? All right, so let's go ahead and log in if you haven't. Okay, log in. And we can do to set up. Okay, so most of you know what you're taking. So I generally teach college English through Cnm here on our campus, which was worked out really well this last year. We have also had space where we look at scholarship applications, the essays I assigned. I tried to keep them something that they could use to apply to college, things like that. We don't know if we're going to have the opportunity for me to teach this semester. So what I'm telling the kids is we'll put you in with a good professor, and then if I do teach again this semester, then I can put you in my class. So we'll switch because I do like to have. Hopeful. It's just kind of hard with classrooms and space. It might be after school too. So.
Right.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Okay.
So we're gonna get enrolled in a Cnm class right now. We're gonna show you how to get enrolled. So this is part of our checklist, and if you don't know your Cnm username and password, no big deal. It's gonna be part of the checklist, and we have an explanation as to how you get into your email, but we're just gonna go over real quick. That being said, does anybody here know their Cnm username and password? You do? Can I ask you to help out just a little bit? Because I don't have a Cnm account. See, this is the other thing we come across, right, Ms. Boltwood?
Yes.
I can't go into any student's account without their permission. Would you please give me permission to have you come on the account and we'll officially register you? Does that sound good?
Sorry.
He's already ready. Well, that's fine. Just come on up and so we can just show everybody how the process is. Does that sound good? Come on up. And you can put in your username and password, and then families can see that I cannot open their account. I cannot register them for a class without me there, which I'm sure gives you guys a little bit more peace. Knowing how serious it is. I'm like, it's serious. So don't worry. You'll know if your student's enrolled because they will sit with us. They will enroll. We try to keep everybody informed. So he's logging in with his Cnm username and password right now, which is exactly where we want to be. And it's okay if you can't get in, that's no big deal. But that's part of, see, and he also has to do a text verification. So even if I have their password, I can't get in at all. They have to have a text code sent, This is one reason we have to do it either over the phone or with them physically here, because they have to be here. It's illegal for us to get onto their account, and then that way everybody has their information completely secure. All right, so he's gotten onto CNM. He has his username and password, and he's completed the dual credit. So when he does register, he goes over here, he clicks on registration. This is something we guide them through when we're on the phone registering with them or when they come in person. And then you go ahead and you're going to click on register for classes right here. And it takes you into, I think it's that telegram, that huge portal. Yes. So it takes you here. And then through here, this is the portal where you register. But it's not a big deal. I have on here, on the little checklist, thank you so much, I really appreciate it. I just want to show everybody how they can log in. Go ahead and log out now. Thank you. I just wanted you guys to see a little bit of what that looks like. So I've applied to CNM, and then the next step for, everybody would pretty much be that you have to make sure that you have that, and if not, there's a number right here it's 224-4357. You'll call it. And all of our students have applied. Everybody's applied. So either it's in the spam folder of where they signed up at on their personal email. If they can't remember their personal email, call this phone number. Tell them the name, address, how you signed up, and they'll have your CNM ID for you, and they'll also have your email, which at what point you can set up your password so that you can get into the portal. The next thing is you're going to want to complete the CNM dual credit orientation, which we just did. We went over it, so we got all the answers, so it should be a little bit easier. And like I said, you could even go over the recording. We're going to send you guys if you want the answers that way too. And then you might have some holds that prevent you from registration. The first thing you need is the parental consent form. I guess that's what I should hand them out. This will be okay, cool. You might have a social security card where they'll ask for a picture. You need to send it to admissions@cnm.edu. And it'll take about 3 days to take that hold off. Proof of address, proof of birthday date, which would include either your birth certificate or an official state ID. And after all these holds have been removed, so check today, call them today, get your email, everything set up, check to see, do I have holds on my account? From there, you'll be able to sign up. And usually, you might not have any holds on your account at all, and you'll be able to figure that out once we try to register you for a class. And then you call Miss Lucas when you're ready, when your account has no holds and you're completely ready, and you just call her, and we'll register you either over the phone or in person, or you can email her and say, hey, I want to come in now to register for classes. But it's just really critical that we're there with you. So, other than that, I think this concludes all of our talking and saying a bunch of things. So, what about any other questions that you guys might have